Okay. It looks like recording has started. So, hello, everybody. This is Diane Broussard, and I'm coming to you live from my center here, the Diamond Springs Center here in Diamond Springs, California. And I am very pleased today to welcome a friend of mine. Her name is Ruth Rhine, and she channels the Archangel Metatron. She has, besides that, she does auditing books. She has authored a book. She does painting. She does many things. And we have spoken with her before, but today we have a little bit of a different subject. The subject today is called What's Your Story? We have talked, previously to many channels uh, through their through their human people that channel them and gotten many answers to many questions about humanity in general. But what we're doing today is we're actually going to talk to Ruth Ann about her story and how did she come from just being a normal little baby like all of us growing up in human bodies and start channeling an archangel named Metatron. Um, she's just a human being like all of us, and many of us have attributes that we really don't understand. And I think in talking to Ruth Ann and finding how she evolved, and perhaps at the end of this, even talking to Metatron himself about what was his role in helping Ruth Ann become a channel for him. So welcome, Ruth Ann, to
Thank
today.
you. Thank you, Diane. I'm so delighted to be with you and so honored to be asked to be a part of this series. I think it's a wonderful endeavor. And I do continue to be amazed by all you accomplished, Diane, in your work, in your life. And I'm really grateful for all the guidance and all the illuminating events you create for so many people.
Thanks, Ruth Ann. I have to say that, I have a center here, the Diamond Spring Center, and we are just a place for people to evolve. Doesn't matter what you're doing, but we're all on the same road. We're all getting there on different paths, but to the same place. And so today we are going to go into some questions that I have for Ruth Ann about who is she and how did she start channeling this amazing being we call Metatron, who is an archangel, by the way. And, the significance of archangels is beyond what we could even imagine because I have to say this as a sideline. The other day, I was listening to Cryon talking about um, the angels and the archangels and the the mothers the Lemurian mothers who came here, and he described it in a way that the essence of an angel is so huge that to be standing in front of them, you see pictures everywhere on paintings of beings that just fall to their knees because the essence of an archangel is so great and so magnificent that you fall to your knees with this energy. And to be able to channel an archangel is pretty amazing to me to be able to hold that energy within yourself and to allow that being to come through. Metatron, I'm talking to you. That's pretty cool. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to talk to Ruth Ann a little bit about her story. And so, question number one I have to you is, how did your journey begin? What was the first moment you felt something shift spiritually? Even if you don't have words for it yet, what was that tingling within you that went, wow, there's something going on here?
Well, first of all, I just want to say it's really fascinating and really remarkable to me, actually, how similar we all are in our development. It's like we're on the same page, but at the same time, we're experiencing a totally unique path of growth, unlike anyone else. So it's really remarkable. The first moment I noticed something spiritual might have been when I was 6 years old, out in my front yard with a couple of girlfriends playing some game. And the topic came up of what the truth is. They were discussing what's true. And I remember um, contemplating that and looking up and then pretty much just downloaded an answer. But at the time, I didn't think, oh, I channeled that. I just thought, oh, this feels true, and I said it. So maybe that's my first memory of something like that happening. But I feel like I must begin with my birth because key experience throughout my entire life has led me to where I am now in terms of my channeling ability. There are certain key situations that happened in my childhood and so on that brought me along to a place where I could receive with clarity. So I was born in 1951 to Anne and Onis Hutchins, very independent Midwesterners who survived the Depression. They made their own way. My mother moved to Los Angeles and became an authentic Rosie the Riveter. So this is the woman who raised me, very independent. She met my father on the beach in Santa Monica. And at the time, he was an Army defensive lookout for the Los Angeles area. They married, moved to Missouri, and I was born the third of four siblings. And this is why this is advantageous to me in my spiritual growth. Being the third child, the responsibilities and expectations my parents had for their children were largely placed on my older brother and sister. So I was allowed more freedom. I
Mm-hmm.
just got to be a kid. Another thing that was advantageous in being born to Anne and Onis is that they, prior to their marriage, had very different religious backgrounds. So they decided to give it up to eliminate any conflict in their marriage. So I did not receive any kind of religious indoctrination. I wasn't told what I should believe or what nature of reality was. I was able just to look through my own eyes, through my own perspective to experience life. I got to say I was a loner. I didn't relate a lot to the environment around me. Frankly, I found it disappointing. It's like, where's the magic? I wanted to see more magic in the world. But the people around me seemed like their lives were mundane, routine, kind of boring. So I amused myself with dancing and singing just by myself. And I spent a lot of time with my animal friends, my dogs and cats. They were so beautiful and so present, and I love them so much. So the beginnings of my life are significant because I was allowed freedom to explore the world through my own perception. So there's some clarity right there that I didn't have to undo any kind of beliefs that would get in the way of my clarity.
You know, that's so interesting because so many light workers that I talk to have similar stories in that they were loners because they didn't really relate to a lot of the stuff that was going on around them. And so they chose animals because, you know, animals are higher dimensional beings anyway, and their frequency is very sweet and loving. You know, being a loner, I myself was a loner, you know, probably still am. But that's very typical of so many that I talk to, Ruth Ann. And that brings me to question number two. And question number two is, was there a turning point or an awakening experience that changed everything for you? Like a dream or a book or an encounter or, you know, something magical that actually changed your life?
Yes, actually, there I can't think of one that significantly stands out from others, but I can mention a few that were really important turning points. And I would say the first one is in the early 70s. I studied and performed dance with companies in the Bay Area, in San Francisco Bay Area. I studied with some amazing innovators in spontaneous movement and spontaneous movement therapy. I I learned to teach improvisation, and in observing my students, I could see that the development of their external movement created an internal growth within them and healing as well. So, exploring movement therapies created an interest in me in healing modalities. So, that was like a step in the right direction. I also completed a degree in art and art history, attuning me to the work of artists in the past up to the current day. And that inspired me to explore what
Hmm.
was in my heart to express visually the dreams that I had. I would dreamt of other worlds, other planetary beings. So I wanted to paint them, excuse me, to understand my relationship with them. And I actually have a painting right here. This is just kind of a rough painting. It was the first
Mm.
practice one I had. The installation of the entire project was really big. There are a lot of paintings, but that gives you an idea of where I was going with this. And it did help me feel more connected to life beyond this planet in feeling into these paintings and the beings that came through. So that was kind of another form of connecting and channeling visually.
Yeah, and so I'm just thinking real briefly that looking at your paintings and what you were going through, that might have really helped you connect to a higher source or to higher beings, but it might have still left you a little bit isolated from the mainstream friends because you kind of knew that what you were doing was a little bit out of the mainstream. And, just looking at your paintings, did you feel that I'm creating something that's within me, but it's not actually what everybody else is doing?
Oh, absolutely. Nobody else was painting anything like what I was doing. I kind of didn't care. I was doing it for myself. It was a
Good.
project in college, and I just thought, I really want to understand what these images are because I would wake up from these dreams kind of sad that I wasn't there. So I thought there's something going on here. And I
Yeah.
was using art as a means to help my own understanding of my life grow. So yeah, it's not mainstream visual imagery for sure.
Yeah, well, I know that both Alcazar and Zazar, that are channels I listen to, have indicated too that with 2026 and the new human and the new earth, that the humans will be expressing even more through sound and music and art, things that will really wake up humanity, which we know in a way has always happened before. When you listen to a great piece of music, it touches your soul, but you really don't know what to do with it. You just feel great. Or you see a painting and it goes right into your soul and your soul wakes up. And before we felt that, but we really haven't had the tools. Where do we go with this? This is touching something within us. It's touching our soul, but where are we going with it? We've not been told or taught or given the tools to experience the experience in otherworldly realms. And that's what I think, your paintings and others are doing these days. And we're moving quite fast into new realms. And that's what's happening for us. And I'm so grateful you're sharing that with me. And that brings me to my next question.
Oh, could I add another thing? I
You
really
can
must
add,
add this. Yeah,
yes.
because I have other turning points, but I don't want to go on and on about it. But I did move to Kauai for a while in the early 80s and didn't know why. And after connecting to the island, memories began to emerge from when
Mm.
I'd lived there before ancient times. So I became aware of past lifetimes existing beyond my current one. So that is significant. Also, exploring shamanic studies, becoming attuned to trees and nature and being able to feel the movement of their energies within them, that was an awakening. Um, Becoming aware of all the natural frequencies around me and that had conscious presence. But I've got to also mention the birth of my children.
Yes.
The moment they arrived, I felt as if everything in my life had led up to that moment, opening my heart to greater love. And then a form of telepathy between us took place that happens between parent and child. So as you see, there's this continuing
Mhm.
growth of awareness that was just one thing after another in my life. Anyway, go ahead with your
Well,
question.
no, no, I just love that because what you're doing is you're really talking about the evolution of humans, from one human that went this to this and then became a mother, and certainly then after that a grandmother, and how we're evolving, and how, your story is like probably many other stories, and many people will listen to your story, see where it led, and maybe they'll be able to look a little bit deeper into their own story after listening to what you're saying. Leading my children certainly were the highlight of my life, and the best part of my life, actually,
Hmm.
too. And again, we're moms, and we're grandmoms, and we're here on the earth, and we have messages, and we're no different. We're not, cosmic beings, although we are cosmic beings here in human form, but we're humans here on this earth. And we are coming now into a community, a human community, collective consciousness, where we can all come together, and people can tap you on the shoulder and say, Ruth Ann, did you ever feel this? This was kind of weird for me. And feel comfortable asking you, and
Hmm.
you may respond or not.
Hmm.
So this is what we're trying to do, is make everyone feel so comfortable as a human community of becoming a oneness, where we can gather together and talk to each other about our unique, very, very unique experiences, which all lead to the same place. And it's so
Exactly. And I hope all the groundwork that we did in the 50s and 60s and 70s makes it easier for those who are embarking on their path today.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what we're understanding now too. It's kind of the indigenous always say that, what you do in your life is going to affect 7 generations behind you and 7 generations in front of you. We are all connected. So what we do in manifesting greatness for ourselves is manifesting greatness for others. And it's slowly, slowly, slowly going to be the turn of, humanity on this earth. And to me, it's really, really something I am thrilled with, especially now in 2026, where the fire horse is coming in, the Chinese fire horse, and so much more. We're being really to a higher frequency. And so I'm saying I'm just excited about all of this, and all the channels that are here that are open to bring in messages, and all the channels that are bringing in messages. So here we go from there, Ruth Ann. I'm going to ask you another question. Have you ever had to let go of something in order to step onto your soul path? Because a lot of us have that issue. We have to let go of something to move on.
Oh, yes, I definitely did. And one thing comes to mind in the 50s and 60s, to be on one's soul path required letting go of any need or definition of what a young woman's purpose is supposed to be in a traditional sense. My girls in high school were picking out china patterns and planning their weddings, which is well and good, but I wanted something else. I chose differently to follow my heart. I didn't need a contract or dependence on a man to fulfill my desire to explore life. So letting go of that kind of that paradigm of what women were supposed to do, grow up, get married, have children, and be the support person. In a sense, I did those things eventually in my 30s and 40s. However, at the time, I had other things to do. So I gave up on the expectation of that.
Wow. All right, my friend. Um, Who or what has been a guiding presence for you, seen or unseen, like teachers, ancestors, angels, dreams? Who has been a support for you through all of this, question and answers and doubts throughout your life? Has there been someone who has been someone for you?
There have been so many people uh, that who have served as guides in my life. My sister Martha, my parents, friends along the way have helped me navigate my life on Earth. I've channeled many guides from the dimensional realms. However, Archangel Metatron is my most constant advisor and healer. The very first attempt I made to channel was through automatic writing. So I sat
Hmm.
down at the computer and started typing, thought I'll give this a try. And who came through was an Egyptian Neter, Thoth. And
Oh,
later I learned that this entity was one of numerous incarnations of Archangel Metatron.
oh.
So this written transmission that came through so easily, so beautifully at that time, encouraged me to study and practice channeling, uh, to clear obstructions and fears. I learned clouded my energetic flow, so I had to do a lot of self-work on healing.
Hmm.
And Master Kathumi was an immense help in opening and clearing my channel. And I actually have a past life connection with him. I worked with him for a couple years for this purpose. As a side note, going back to an earlier part of my life, when I was 23 years old, I began to see flying saucers in the sky. And there were
Oh,
two I saw in broad daylight emerging from a large cloud
wow.
bank. And as I was gazing upon them, I felt intense energies flowing all through me as I sat upon the ground in a field. It was very intense, and I didn't understand what was happening. It was actually shocking and confusing, especially at that time, March 20th, 1974. I'll never forget that day. This was before Spielberg did the UFO movies.
Mhm.
So this began my fascination with star beings, and they were the first beings I channeled publicly, the star beings of light. And I would ask them who they were, and they said, "We're the star beings of light, being of one heart and one mind." And I asked them where they were from, like Palladian, Andromedan, and they would say, "We express through one voice from many star systems. We are beings of one heart and one mind." And they didn't find it relevant to tell me what particular star system they were from. They felt that they spoke the truth from a unified field. So
Yes.
that was interesting to have them answer our questions. And while I was refining my ability to channel and practicing, I was exploring healing modalities, which leads me into channeling Archangel Metatron. I was integrating the techniques of these different modalities, and then I just began to channel Archangel Metatron to assist those who asked for my help. And then I downloaded a new healing modality from him entitled Restructuring Realities. The purpose of that modality was to bring clarity and healing to people and animals. And then, of course, I channeled the book for light workers from Archangel Metatron for guidance and assurance through turbulent times ahead. And this was in 2017 when I channeled this book, and I couldn't really foresee the global turmoil that we have been moving through currently. Archangel Metatron did see the probability ahead of our timeline and wanted to help navigate lightworkers through the planetary chaos on the horizon so that they would understand and be guided in a way to navigate through this transition taking place. So now it's 2026 and the shift has occurred
Yes.
into a more positive trajectory. And in speaking of guides, I must mention that many of them have been my animal friends who have been present. They help me stay centered and in a loving space. Very delightful, beautiful, and magical that brought me great love, which is an important development, just opening my heart more
Hmm.
uh, in being able to have the ability to channel. And in particular, I must remember my precious dog Blue, who is a cockapoo. He lived for 17 years and passed a year ago. I I was heartbroken. However, I do not grieve his loss because I've been shown that he's not gone, that he's with me forever. And now he and Archangel Metatron are teaching me to perceive blue within interdimensional presence. I can hear him speak to me and tell me amazing experiences he is having within the inner realms. His passing actually opened a dimensional doorway for me, and I'm forever grateful to him. He's still teaching and guiding me.
So do you think there'll be another little doggy guide coming to you in the future?
I do not know that. I had five pets. I had two dogs and three cats, and I've just now raised them from their babyhood up into their old age. And I think I'm going to take a break for a while to focus on other things. They do take a lot of time and
Yeah.
care. And for right now, I'm focusing on some other things, but who knows? We'll see what
Yeah.
happens in the future.
Wow. Well, I have a little doggy friend too who is my guide, and I did ask for him too. It took a while to get him just to keep me focused and grounded, you know.
Hmm.
So I know how they are. They're there and they have a purpose, and he has a strict purpose to make sure I get up every day, take him for a walk, do this, do that, and when I get too far out there, boom, right. So they are amazing beings, and I totally understand what you were talking about, and I understand the break too, because all of a sudden you have a break from responsibilities and maybe a little bit of time to adventure in different ways. Who knows where we're going this year? And with that
Yes.
being said, I just said that, how do you stay grounded and clear as you continue to grow
Yeah.
spiritually? How do you stay grounded? You don't have a dog now.
That's true. That's true. Well, there's so many ways to clear yourself. I daily have a practice. First thing in the morning, or thereabouts, I will either do breathing techniques or meditate. I'll intend to release whatever's coming up for me that day. I'll ask Divine for help in clearing any resistance I have and letting go. There's toning and mantras. When I walk, I like to recite an affirmation that will help me move forward. Crystals are amazing to clear unconscious trauma and hidden grief. And different crystals are, of course, um, um, good for certain things.
Yes.
And yeah, so one thing I like to do is sit beside a river and let all my concerns or anything deep within me that is unconscious that needs to move out, I will throw into the river to flow away, be purified. It's whatever an individual can imagine. We're very creative. So whatever we think of that does the trick that helps us feel lighter is and resonate with us is is it what we can all do. And
Thanks
for
for being
grounding,
me.
yeah, for grounding, I walk. I like to walk out in
Yeah.
nature and touch trees, exercise, breathing. Sometimes I'll visualize roots coming out of the bottom of my feet, reaching into the earth. Or I might visualize a beam of light going through my crown chakra, down into my earth star chakra to give me a feeling of anchoring. Anytime I begin to feel like I'm kind of floating on top of the earth or feeling spacey, I go, oh, I need to ground my energies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, whatever works that is resonant for the individual is something to explore.
So, Ruth Ann, can you tell me what's something that you believe now that you didn't or couldn't believe before your journey began? Is there
Well,
something now?
that's easy. Something just really jumps out at me. And what I believe now is that we do not have to die, which is
Yeah.
something I learned from Archangel Metatron.
Mm,
When someone takes excellent care of their personal health, when they work on clearing old paradigm programs, obstructing traumas, we can grow younger as we become free of all these limiting beliefs about what's possible. It is true that most people transition, leaving their physical bodies behind, and I've done that numerous times as a means to transition in past lifetimes. However, it is possible to rejuvenate the body through becoming conscious of how programmed we are to age and die. It's
mm.
just interesting to me to know we have a choice to move straight into a transcendent body of light should we choose that avenue.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that because I'm so with you on that. I live currently with a mother who's almost 98 years old, and I listen to her every day. Well, when you're 98 or when you're this or when you're that,
Ah,
and
this is
people
like,
all the time, it's like, well, when you're 50, oh my gosh, you're getting there and they have these preconditioned ideas that every date in your life means something, which we've been taught from lifetime through lifetime through lifetime, which doesn't mean anything, but we do that to ourselves. If you're 90, oh my God, you're almost dead. And
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not almost dead, are we?
We have to really weed out these thoughts,
Yes,
statements that you just hear around people or in any situation that indicates it's like, oh, well, my eyes are starting to go, or this or that. Uh, we have to weed out those thoughts and replace them with thoughts that allow for new possibilities
yes.
as to how we live, how we take care of ourselves. I mean, it's great to proper nutrition and all those kinds of things are important. Exercise, breathing, that's important. But also just clearing out all the old paradigm mindset is essential.
Absolutely. I'm just really grateful that you touched on that because I totally believe that also. We have a container that contains our soul, and of course we need to take care of it. But the belief is that we're so much more than we ever thought we were. And it's such a relief to hear that so many guides right now are telling us the same thing. And it's a new belief system for us. It's a new reality that we actually really know, but we forgot somewhere along the line. And that wake up call is a great wake up call, by the way. It's not going to be happy for a lot of pharmaceuticals and all kinds of things like that, but it's a good thing for us to know. Oh my gosh, here's a good one for you. Uh, so what does ascension actually mean to you personally? And how would you describe that in your own words? What does ascension mean? That's the big word now. We're ascending. Why
Hmm.
and from where from?
Uh,
What are we doing?
well, ascension to me is internally evolving from the inside out. It's not above or below or anywhere else other than within our own beings. And when we raise our vibrational frequency through healing, clearing lower vibrational entanglement,
Hmm.
we're able to expand our consciousness and embody more soul presence within our physical vehicle. And in this way, we become an embodiment of the truth, who we really are. We're able to bring our soul through. So, those who wish to experience the oneness of all that is can continue to open and grow and heal more and open more and heal more and grow more without end. So, so if somebody is just now awakening, and I'll just kind of, this is related to the next question, I would say ascension is not a race. It's a natural process, like a rose unfolding to the sun. To awaken and to ascend is for everyone who has a heart-centered desire to live in love. And this is a natural process. We are supposed to be born and we are supposed to ascend and grow and embody our truth. This is natural for us to do. So, what's not natural is all the cultural and religious programming, wounds we have, limiting beliefs that obstruct our clarity. To heal from these, to clear this from our beings, we can then embody more light and more love. And so, to just simply be present and accepting and receptive allows the divine essence of grace to flow through our beings. So find what calms your mind and breathe and be present and focus on what is beautiful in your own life and the world around you. Ascension is simply just being natural, going through a natural process of experiencing life on earth and continuing to grow and evolve without end. So we want to clear away the obstructions and the confusion that inhibit this growth. And when you do become aware of people who are in need because of all the global chaos and the upheavals, geologic disruption, war, it's important to be in a state of compassion and send light, asking divine assistance to help in all possible ways. To be in a state of compassion is to be in a state of love and caring without suffering the suffering. Becoming entangled in the grief and suffering of others doesn't help. It
Mm-mm.
adds weight to the grief and sorrow of the world. You become one more person suffering. So emanating love and caring, that's an uplifting frequency and it feels warm and loving. It does make a difference in uplifting others. So be in compassion without suffering the suffering. Simply being present in our hearts, loving oneself and others is all that matters. All living beings are divine. And when we let go of whatever's not true and not loving, we allow greater love and light to reside within us. And we can naturally ascend and awaken.
And so I think it's important also to say, because we've all seen this, we're all ascending to some point. I mean, always, because energy is infinite, but there are some people that are ascending slower than others. And for a lot of us who are light workers, it is important, like you said, to send them love and light because they're not at the same place. They're not ready to evolve at this point, but eventually they will. And I think that's where a lot of us kind of get stuck. We try and fix everyone or want them to do this or want them, but no, they're okay. They're just where they're supposed to be at this moment and on their path, and just to be the witness basically as to what's going on and to hold our light and be the light. I feel that's extremely important. It was like you said, it's we're all going there. We're all going to get there at a different time.
Yeah,
And
there's millions have gone before, millions after. It's this ongoing process. And that's exactly true that souls have a provide people with, well, they have free will choice to determine where they're born and where they're at. And we're not all in the same place. And some people are moving at their own pace through their own volition and their own way. And we all are doing that. We're just in different places. And so we can help those who are suffering by asking for divine assistance to send light, because then we're giving them permission to help these people. Um, like when I ask that people who are without homes or who have lost everything because of war or some other um, geologic condition, I asked Archangel Metatron, when I ask this, when I intend this, does this really help? How does this really help? Just asking. And he said that when we give permission, it allows them to give divine intervention to bring resources and healing and assistance to them through avenues that would not have been open otherwise. Just by giving them permission, they can, as he says, move mountains. It's that
yeah,
powerful of a thing. So our intentions are incredibly important and powerful because we do care. We do care about what's going on Earth and all the suffering going on and the confusion and devastation. But that's what we can do without suffering.
right. Without being attached to the emotion that's evolved in these things. Watch it and see it, but don't be attached to it. I think that's
Hmm.
what humans tend to do is be attached to everything emotionally, and that's destroying our own self at the same time. But watch it and send love to it, but don't be attached
Hmm.
to it.
It's not personally happening to us. We can live
No,
in the new paradigm right
yeah,
now. We can live in joy and
yeah.
peace and love because we're creating, bringing in the new paradigm. So that's kind of like our thing, and to let go of what is falling away, that's not resonant with the ascension of the earth.
That is so beautiful. So I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna ask you, how would you complete this sentence, Ruth Ann? My story matters because why is your story important to others?
My story matters because I am able now to make a difference in this world, to bring about more love into the lives I touch, the people I know, the animals I see, This is all I wish for.
Well, I am so grateful that you touched with me your story. And now I have a couple questions for your channel, Archangel Metatron. And just to touch bases, you might add that Metatron actually was human. Many of the archangels were not human. And we go, well, how can you understand us, archangels? And could
Oh,
you just relay to us, Metatron was human at some point?
he was human in many incarnations on Earth, many animals, many people. He would incarnate at a point in time where he could make the most significant difference in creating an impact on the evolution of humankind and the planet. And he's also incarnated because he's multi-universal,
Yeah.
multi-dimensional. He's incarnated in other universes, other planetary systems. He has expanded and expanded, expanded, and is an example of the infinite growth of ascension that we're heading into. We will just
Yeah.
continue to experience more, learn more. There's just no end to it. So he doesn't think of himself as like, um, on top of a hierarchy of angels. They don't relate to that within the angelic realms. They all work together in
Mhm.
tandem, in unity. However, there are beings who have been around for a very, very long time and have had a tremendous amount of experience and have gathered more and more um, embodied connection with everything that
Mhm.
is.
And not all the archangels have been human, have they?
Uh, I have never asked that. I could ask that.
Ask that.
I've
Well, these
heard
questions
from
now
other
are for
channels that
Metatron.
that's true.
Pardon?
Uh, I've heard from other channels that that's true. I just haven't asked Archangel Metatron, and he's kind of my go-to guy. So,
Yeah, so these two questions are for Metatron, okay? The last one, which is 11. What role did your channel or play in awakening or remembering? How did that relationship first make it known to you? What was Archangel Metatron's role with you?
well,
I mean, and ask him. I want to ask, what did you do? How did you wake up Ruth Ann?
I created, well, a lot of things in my life have brought me to a place to where I gave myself permission to connect into the inner realms. That's not something I would have done when I was 20. It's all the things that happened to me that brought me to that place. And then, of course, when I finally just had an opening and I just asked to communicate. That was it. He came through. And I learned after that for me, there was in the process of learning to channel with him, I learned that there are things that needed to be cleared in order to refine my channel so that my ego or any fears or traumas I held wouldn't influence uh, my ability to receive with clarity. And so, yeah, that happened back when I was first started the automatic writing.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you this. Before coming into this lifetime, did you have a sense of any agreements, intentions, or plans you made with Archangel Metatron? And how do you feel these intentions are unfolding now? In other words, do you or can you ask Archangel Metatron, did you have a plan before you came into this incarnation as a human to get together at some point and start channeling his information to you?
That's an interesting question. And I am aware that I chose my parents and my siblings prior to being born in this current incarnation, and that there's a lineage there that and a bond that goes back lifetimes. However, I really haven't looked into exploring possible pre-birth agreements. It's just one of those areas I haven't explored. So I have asked Archangel Metatron um, what his response is regarding our relationships and any plans that we may have had or agreements or intentions we had prior to um, this particular birth, to this incarnation. And so this is what he tells me, and I'm going to read this to you. Um, Mutually together, We share the intention to uplift all those who harbor illusion so that they may be free of all which impedes their light within. This is intended for all forms of life on this planet and everywhere else where this vibratory frequency exists. It is intended for all to be free, to exist in their truth and being, embraced by the Creator's essence. Yes, you, Ruthann, have journeyed far and wide in this endeavor. Relative to your presence on earth, you have lived numerous lifetimes, as have I. Your simultaneous dimensional presence in benevolent realms also contributes to this endeavor. It's not necessary for you to create a plan or make a promise to realize heartfelt intent, for you and I exist in the trust that all is well, and living moment to moment allows for perfect unfoldment that best serves this wish for all beings in all forms to be free to exist within their sovereign rights on earth and also throughout the universe. You see, Diane, it is needed to understand that the light workers on earth have chosen to become embroiled in the experience of being a human, subjected to the misaligned confusion and grief of the earthly turmoil. Then, through the process of healing, letting go of what interferes with their soul expression, one returns to their inner truth, holding compassion and understanding for the behaviors of those who are still lost.
Mm,
In other words, delving into the human condition allows those who have awakened to generate love for all without judgment. We
mhm.
can extend our heart's desire for them to awaken to their own divinity by intending that the grace of the Creator opens their hearts and minds. To intend is to employ divine intervention for those in need. And Diane, in answer to your question as to how the fulfillment of this desire is now unfolding, know that immense and powerful expressions of grace are permeating the planet to uplift Mother Earth and dissolve all illusion of separation through immeasurable means of support and healing love. Thus, more and more beings shall open and soften their outlook and become more aware of a truthful perspective in being through their own volition, in their own way, in their own time. More and more shall embody more and more of the light being gifted to all. And so it is.
Wow, that was beautiful. Uh, that was a great answer. I'm so blessed to hear that.
Me
And
too.
I'm asking you right now as we come to the end of our little chat. Um, is there anything else that you think Archangel Metatron would have to say to us right now at this time?
I will tune in here. I will tap in. I like to use crystals to amplify his presence. And I will bring him through and ask. Archangel Metatron, is there anything you would like to share with those who are tuning in to this conversation between Diane and I? Yes, I'm so glad you asked. There is much to share here, and there is much to learn. And ahead of all of you are miracles that shall manifest more and more and more into your lives. And so, do eliminate any remnants of fearful expression, for you've nothing to fear. You are supported, you are protected, and for those who give me permission, you are under my wing now and forevermore as I accelerate your ascension process through the grace and the love of the Creator's divine essence. We shall all be free to evolve and grow without limit, without obstruction. We will be free of all the other worldly old paradigm systems that have obstructed you in the past, they no longer need affect you. You may see them, you may witness this happening to others and that happening to others. You, my dear friends, may exist in the new paradigm now in peace and trust that all is unfolding perfectly. All is well. And so it is.
That is beautiful. So it is, and so it shall be. And we are full. Thank you, Archangel Metatron. Thank you, Ruth Ann, my dear friend,
Thank
for
you,
taking this
Diane, for the
time out
opportunity.
and, bringing this message to those who are open to hear it. And I hope that we will be able to join again at some point. Again, I'm coming to you from the Diamond Springs Center here in Diamond Springs, and Ruth Ann is coming from Ashland, Oregon. And if you'd like to take one moment to talk about what you offer others too at this time, Ruth Ann, that would be a great, great thing to do.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. I offer healing sessions with Archangel Metatron. I can do it remotely. I can do a written account. I can do a transmission over FaceTime or in person if any of you happen to be in the area. You can arrange an appointment with me on my website. Um, it's ruthandrhine.squarespace.com. And there's also a place to send me an email there. And I'll give you my email address where you can just send me any questions you might have after this podcast, I guess it is. Um, and it is R.A. Rhine, R-H-I-N-E, R-A-R-H-I-N-E 51 at gmail.com. And yeah, I would love to work with you. Um, Archangel Metatron addresses any and all concerns, whether they're small or large. He will respond. And the beautiful thing about his work that I love is that he's complete and comprehensive in his clearing throughout all timelines, lifetimes, and dimensions of being in one fell swoop. He's like, let's
That's
get
cool.
busy. We're accelerating this. Let's just clear all this out. And he's helpful in so many ways. Every channeling I do for every individual, a person or an animal, is unique, and I learn so much, and so much is bestowed upon those who ask.
And I can attest to that too, because I've asked a couple questions of Metatron myself concerning healing for my own physical self. So I recommend Ruth Ann and Metatron very heartily. And at this point now, we're going to go say goodbye and thank you so much for listening to us.
Just one more thing I want to say. I have over 200 discourses from Metatron on YouTube.
Oh,
If you search for Ruth Ann Rhine or Guidance and Healing for Lightworkers from Archangel Metatron, and I also have a Facebook page. So there's a lot of information there for lightworkers. Okay.
and if you miss all of that, you can always hit my center and I'll surely send you this information also. So happy trails to everyone. So it is, and so it shall be.
Thank you.
And we will see each other again. Thank you, Ruth Ann. I appreciate your time so much. And thank Archangel Metatron for being here also. I
He's
appreciate him.
grateful. He's grateful for your work, Diane. Thank you.
Great. All righty.